Hello, I'm Chris Solo, and welcome to the Fabled 42, where we build community through friendship, gaming, and chaos. This is Quests and Answers, where we go on a quest to find those answers. Today we're talking about the Paladin class in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Very special guest, Thor here. Thor, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Very excited to have you here. Yes, we're going to talk about Paladins. I've actually never played a Paladin before, and I know that you played one in Mythical Melee.
I did, and I just generally love paladins,
Yes.
especially. I mean, it came from like way back when you had to have like these super high scores just to even qualify to be allowed to
Yes.
pick paladin as a class. Back then is like where it started, right? Because then it becomes this exclusive club. But it's like, oh my god, we're gonna roll for stats, and if I roll high enough, I can maybe play a paladin.
Yeah.
So that was always fun.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's great. Did you have like specific questions, or were we just talking back and
So
forth?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna kind of just dive in. So like, I've wanted to play a paladin, and I never really knew how to start. And so like, when you've played paladins in the past, like, do you just wait for the campaign setting and the party and kind of see the party dynamics, so you kind of need a tank, or do you just kind of dive in and go from like more of a role play flavor?
So I
Perspective?
think Paladins is at least the way it was originally intended. 5e has definitely loosened it up a bit, and obviously that's really what we're talking about. But like Paladins is very much one of those you have to sort of see how your party is and what kind of campaign you're doing before you pick one, because the underlying thought obviously is that they're these holy warriors, or deeply unholy in some
Yes.
very rare
Yeah.
instances, but like these holy warriors that are kind of goody two shoes, and they're the origin of the awful good kind
Yeah.
of alignment of
Yeah.
lawful good just drawn to the extreme, right? So if you have a party full of scoundrels, or
Yeah.
morally questionable characters, it becomes a little harder to play the paladin
Sure.
in it. But that said, I have seen it done extremely well
Oh
in
god,
one
I
of my
mean the party
campaigns.
dynamics would be great
Oh
because
my
like,
god, it was
yeah.
great. It was well, actually, I guess one of the campaigns I play where playing with Joe Mananiello and
Mhm.
his personal trainer.
Yeah.
And Joe is this very, very borderline, probably really just straight out neutral evil
Yeah.
sort of warlock character. And then his best buddy and trainer, Ron, plays a devotion paladin who's like so holy and so like has the purest of intentions. And the dynamic between the two is so interesting, because every time the warlock wants to do something fishy, the paladin kind of sees this and starts role playing something that would allow the warlock to do it, because he's either distracted or
Yeah.
like doesn't understand what's going on, like or like he just thinks he's doing it for the right like one time they wanted to, the whole party, we were playing a dragon heist, and the whole
Mhm.
party is trying to like basically scour this guy's place and look for clues to where this thing they're looking for is, but they have to like rob this guy in broad daylight to do it, right?
I'm sure the paladin
And the
is loving
right,
this.
right, right. So they luckily when they got to this area, there had been an encounter, and like a wagon came down the street and crashed, and like some people were hurt or killed or driven away. And like the paladin was like, okay, so he heard them talking about this, and it's like, so there are some children nearby probably that saw this, right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna talk to them and like make
Yeah.
sure that they're okay, and like they understand that this isn't how it's like. So he went to the children to comfort the children, which then immediately allowed the rest of the party to just go do
Yeah. Oh, it's smoke and
whatever.
mirrors. It's like you do want to
Yeah.
distract the paladin so you guys can go do what you got to do.
Right, right. So like it puts an extra, and this is one of the things that makes Paladin really interesting to play, because it puts an extra responsibility on you as a role player to adapt to the situation. Like you could definitely play the super holy, nope, we're not going to do that, we're not going to do that, and that's can be good, but like generally in a role playing situation, you want to say yes and, right?
Hmm.
It's like the improv concept.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
want to be like, okay, they want to do this super illegal thing. Yes, well then I'm gonna not be part of it because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Or
And then it causes that that strife
yeah,
in the
and
group.
just
Yeah.
that the little thing, which
Oh
was
my
so
God.
inconsequential in terms of the game, was just so memorable because it keeps doing that. So it does stuff like that. So that's really fun.
Yeah, it's fun too because like I DM a paladin on Wednesdays, and I don't know if the name is sticking or not, but I kind of made it was a mistake as a DM. I asked them because like they did something heroic and they got paid for it, and someone was logging in their books, so they paid so and so this much. What name should I put in the book? And I was like, shit, I shouldn't have said that. This was like episode 3. So someone like they froze because they just met each other, so they didn't know what to name. And someone and the paladin was like, we're the good buddies, and I was like, God. Like
yes,
but it's still stuck, so it's kind of funny. And she's playing a redemption paladin, so they are the good buddies. So like, and they're all very very good. And then there's some people who have like dark past, but they're trying to be good. So it kind of fits. It's a little cheesy, but they're driving around in a Honka truck right now. You've played a Descent into Avernus before?
I have, yes.
So
I'm playing it right now. We're right at the end of it, and we have nice.
I painted it because this is a snowed one that we have art for in the Rime of the Frost Maiden, and
cool.
they call this the Honka truck.
The Honka truck.
Because she has a familiar goose that is named Honkers.
Honka? Oh, Honkers.
And I'm like,
okay,
okay, here we go. So yes, they are the good
yeah.
buddies. But coming back to Paladin, so like when
I have 2 paladins in my Avernus campaign because they're both like, oh, it's in Avernus. It's going to be a bunch of fiends and evil.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to power game and definitely have 2 paladins on the team. So, yeah, we that's the other side of Paladin in the 5th edition is even though they're fun to roleplay or a little hard even at times to roleplay, they're definitely very, very powerful.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the power. So, like, not even just min-maxing, but, like, there's so many different ways to play a paladin.
You just mentioned Redemption Paladin, which is which is cool because it's basically almost the opposite of what paladins have been played up until that subclass came out, right? Yeah. Because people play a lot of Vengeance paladins, which have these great movement mechanics and are just really hard to escape. And every paladin in 5th edition has Divine Smite, which has become the thing, right?
Yeah.
Overpowered characters like Archon, the Cruel.
Yeah, you do it right, and then it. Yeah. So there's a lot of fun things, a lot of fun mechanics. Are there certain like spells or features or abilities that paladins get that really sticks out to you, other than Divine Smite, obviously?
So Divine Smite is one, but that's just a nuke, right? You're just loading a lot of damage early by draining all your spell slots. But I really like, and this I've always been drawn to paladin type characters. Mm-hmm. I played Warden in like Dark Age of Camelot back in the day, and all these like sort of protector, tanky people who can help undo the mistakes of the rest of your party. Yes. Like if somebody overextends or whatever, you're like there to be like, okay, buddy, I got you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Maybe not next time. So obviously the healing is helpful and stuff, but the aura, especially in 5th edition, is really a thing that makes a paladin feel like a paladin to me. Like if you fight net close to him, you either, depending on what paladin you are, but you get immunity to fear and immunity to charm and half damage from spell damage if you're an ancient's paladin, or if you're devotion, you get all those all paladins I think get all that get their charisma bonus extends to all their party members within 10 feet. So that aura is really fun, I think, and that makes it also for me, if I'm playing a paladin, like the tactical aspect of being able to move to wherever the person who has moved out of my aura has now decided he's going to fight. They're going to fight. So again, you're trying to just mitigate the lack of tactics in the rest of your party by being it's like you're almost like a commander in a way, which is kind of fits the.
No, I like it. Yeah, I especially depending on which oath you pick, there are some that really fit that mold where you are like, I'm commanding, I'm leading this party into.
Yeah, and they tend to be high charisma, so they tend to. Well, 2 things. One, they tend to be kind of the face, which is both good and bad. Like if your party is a good party, great. If it's not a good party, it depends. But they also multi-class pretty well because of the charisma.
Yeah.
So you could immediately have other charisma-based characters tack on nicely, like warlocks or sorcerers or bards even. That's fun. Yeah,
it's super fun. It's funny. I kind of have to talk about this in this meeting because I had a warlock meeting yesterday about we had a segment like this with that. What is the difference really fundamentally between warlocks and paladins? Because you're both obsessed about somewhat, right? Like they're very very almost mirrored in a sense.
A little bit, I think, at least for an RP standpoint, the Paladin has sort of sworn enough willingly and get their powers sort of in.
I guess willingly is that key. Is that
Yeah,
key?
the willingly, well, like they're willingly serving this entity or whatever ideal they believe in.
Yeah.
And I think the ideal there is kind of a big deal. Like we're working towards not necessarily specifically a god or an entity, but it could be an ideal. Whereas warlocks very specifically have like sworn off to.
Yeah.
Again, it could be a good entity, but it's specifically an entity that now grants them their powers.
Yeah.
So it is very similar in that way. Though warlock obviously lends itself to more.
Yeah.
The more sort of Necronomicon,
Yeah.
Lovecraftian
Well,
version
yeah,
of
it was a funny thing because when we did the origins of Ukador, we had Josh who played Cole, who his character we were kind of trying to sandbag and hide. We had him built like one thing, but then he actually revealed that he was something else.
Right.
But because he always looked like a fighter, but he was actually a warlock.
Nice.
But then he found out that his patron killed the love of his life. So then there was this huge role play thing. So instead of making him an Oathbreaker Paladin, and we kind of, instead of just multi-classing, we just reskinned him completely for this new push forward.
Oh, yeah. And I'm guessing that totally worked if you already had been faking fighter while being a warlock. If you're a fighter warlock, then yeah, now you're getting really close to Paladin.
Yeah. So, instead of going Oathbreaker, I created a new oath, which is called Oath of Souls, which is a very warlocky paladin thing where you were choosing to do, and you kind of feed off of souls. So it's kind of a very evil-ish paladin perspective, but he was trying to do that because he was trying to do something else completely. But
no, in my Avernus campaign, I have a paladin who is multiclassed into warlock, but the warlock's entity is the Holy Avenger.
Oh.
So he doesn't have one, but he's hoping to get. He's trying to get me to get him one because it's more. So they definitely do mix. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fun. That's fun. And I was looking at some of the new Tasha ones and all the other new oaths that they've had, and there's a new one that I just saw in D&D Beyond, which Oath of the Open Sea. I'm like, oh, that's fun. Yeah. I must admit, I have not. I see it right here. Yeah. I was just looking into that. I'm like, that's new. That's kind of fun, especially if you're in a seafaring campaign. Yeah. You would think it seems almost like Wizards is building up for more of a nautical. Maybe. Although I guess maybe they probably already tested that during Saltmarsh. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, it's super fun. But so like looking at the Paladin class, we know that it's strength and charisma based, right? You want strength because you're tanky, and then charisma for the spells. What about feats? What's a good feat that you would take as a Paladin? So like you do like fighting style armored or protection even, so you can extend your shield and like help your buddies who are trying to stay close to you anyway. That works really well as terms of like just fighting style. But feats, I see a lot of like Sentinel. Mm-hmm. Again, so that you can sort of really protect that front line. Keep people from running away and all that. Yeah. Keep them running away. Just lock them up and hit them when they get at you, I think. Or that polearm master. No, that's Sentinel, isn't it? Yeah, Sentinel is. Well, polearm keeps them at 10 feet away if they try to come in your space or something like that. Yeah. Right. So I think polearm master and Sentinel is the one that I've seen at least once where you have the reaction attack when they get onto you. Yeah. Within 10 feet. But then if you have Sentinel on top of that, you stop them at 10 feet because you hit with the attack. Sentinel stops someone. Yeah. So now they wasted their turn and can't approach. Yeah. So that's an interesting combination. Yeah. Well, that totally works for fighter as well. But it just kind of, it feels paladin-y. Oh, sure. You're like, I want you to be there, or no, you're staying right here. Like those are the two dynamics right there. Yeah. Sure. So walk me through the creation process for your Paladin in Mythical Melee, who got kind of the short end of the stick, but a lot of people did. I messed that one up, but I realized later it wasn't that bad because she could have done the same thing over and over, and I would have had to just. So the deal there was everyone's going and fighting. Everyone's trying to make these broken classes. I forget how it went. Who won Mythical Melee? I forget, but I think it was April in your group. She was the monk, the little that just touch people and they die monk. Yeah. Well, or stun lock them. Yeah, that was. It was stun lock or it was kill people. But so the thought was that the obvious choice was going to be casters with plane shift. Yeah.
because that was broken. If someone didn't win playing caster who played shift, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, like I was the barbarian who I had almost 400 hit points, and I
Yeah, but
was
you got
resistant
force
to everything.
cage.
Force
Yeah,
cage
yeah.
at the end, but I'm like, why didn't you start with that? Like, why did you let me just get unloosed on
Do
everybody?
all the stuff. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting.
Well, that
interesting
high level stuff is pretty. I'm stupid. I mean, but then again, I just sat there for 10 rounds and forgot to cast Death Ward on myself, which was going to be a thing I was going to do. I was just waiting for the Dispel Magic to go off so I could do that later. But then, of course, I just forgot about it when it mattered.
Well, no, but it was a fun like you were playing the paladin as a paladin should be played, and you're like, I don't know why you guys are doing this. This is silly.
So that was the fun
yeah.
role play aspect, and like no one is going into a mythical melee like PvP battle as the pacifist paladin.
Yes.
I thought so. That was fun for me. Plus, they do have some pretty crazy abilities. Like when you do in fact start fighting. So the hope was that I would just try and role play my way into letting everyone kill themselves, and then be like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, and that's what I was
Here
hoping
comes the
for.
pain,
And then
yeah.
I was like, oh shit. And then it was
Yeah. No. But even if I had Death Ward, she could have just punched me again.
Yeah.
Immediately for another to hit me again with that ability or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, it was interesting too because in my game there was a paladin in my group. Unfortunately, he had to leave because he was like East Coast and like he just had to leave the game. But he realized at the end that he needed to work with me, so he started to like buff me. And, like, I think he put Death Ward on me once or something. Like, he was starting to buff me, but then he had to leave. And I'm like, damn, if he would have just stuck around, then we would have been able to win. And then I would have totally killed him. But, like...
For sure.
Well, because I was a Totem Bear Barbarian. I was resistant to everything but Psychic. Like, and I could drop back and forth. I think when they finally killed me, because I was just stubborn in the Force Cage... Because, I fall down once and I pop back up automatically. Then I fall down again and then I keep making the con saves. But I had a plus 12 or 14 con save.
Right, so you can keep going at least 2 or 3 times.
I went to 30. I think I failed a 35, which...
Oh, wow.
Because it was a 14.
Nice.
It was a 14. So, like, I had to roll a natural... Even if I rolled a natural 20, I still wouldn't have made it because that was my cap.
So if you have a paladin there with an aura, you get bonuses to each of those rolls as well. So that keeps a paladin... and then a barbarian like that is a good combo.
That was a great combo.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all fun stuff though. But so
For sure.
Thinking about the paladin class as a whole, if you were gonna give advice to someone, either as a DM or as a player, like, hey, I want to make a paladin, like, what would you instruct them to do? Like, would you say, pick orc and pick this oath because these are the easiest to kind of digest to give you an overline, like an easy entry into paladin?
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I'm currently working on something else where our paladins is an Oath of Ancients paladin, which I thought is really cool. And but I guess in general, I would say one, you got to be aware of like the role play requirement. Like you're unfortunately going to be very hopefully sworn to your thing. Like I have a lot of paladins in my parties that are just doing it for min-max stuff, and I keep having to punish them for not caring about the aspect that they have promised themselves to, right?
Yeah.
So it's better if you go into it knowing that paladins are very serious and they get all their powers because of the thing they have sworn to do. And then again, be creative and helpful when your party is trying to do something else, so that you can still hold true to your own self while they are allowed to do their things. It's not fun if you go, no one gets to do anything. I am the law. Yeah. Secondly, I mean, as far as the combinations go, I don't know what would be better, but that's up to everyone. And if you want to power game super hard, then orc is a good one, of course, because of the relentless endurance. Yeah. And vengeance would be like one of the clearly more powerful 5e subclasses for paladin because of the movement stuff. Yeah. Which is really fun, but it also just that's a pain in the for the DM, because as a vengeance paladin, you could just jump around the battlefield and just stay on some guy. Like, so if you have a big bad caster, that paladin doesn't care. And if he knew that's coming, because he knows he's doing Tomb of Annihilation and he knows that the final boss is obviously going to be a lich, right? Yeah. Spoiler alert, sorry. Yeah. Then he takes Mage Slayer, and then now it's just like boom, he's on him immediately, and the mage just can't do anything, and that's game over. So
and then Sentinel too,
Sentinel if you want, and
so many fun combinations. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we're at our last few 30 seconds. So in 30 seconds,
Sure.
what is your favorite oath and why?
I really like Redemption, but I've never seen an ancients paladin, and I really like the elven or like dragonborn, some sort of ancients feeling paladin that now you're protecting nature itself, and that kind of lets you play a little bit on the neutral spectrum. Or like, oh, maybe you hate civilization or industry, or maybe you just hate the evil forces corrupting the forest, and not necessarily for like these specific good things. So that's just a really a fun image for me, for like have like this wooden armor with like it's.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that
yeah.
sounds really. I mean, I was just looking at it just now. Like, there's so many new things. I don't know if they all came from
It's
Tasha's
almost
or other things.
it's almost like a ranger paladin or a druid paladin a little bit. That's
Yeah.
kind of what it feels like. It's
I like that. I really like that. Well, thank you, sir, for talking about paladins with me today. This is Thor. Thor, where can people find you?
I'm Thor Knai everywhere. That's Knai, THORKNAI. Yeah, and that's really it.
Okay.
Thor Knai everywhere. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, sir. This is Quest and Answers. We went on a quest to answer questions about paladins for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I am Chris Solo. You can find me at DM Chris Solo on all the social medias. And we will see you guys next time.